let me go ahead and shut this down. That's right, I didn't have my webcam on before. All right. I think this is the OST. That's playing the same song, so. All right, everything look okay for you guys? Can you guys see everything? Let me lower the music a little bit, so I'm not talking over it. Alright, spoiler free! Yeah, other than people letting me know that there was a third phase, but I appreciate that. Again, we got into a thing where... Oh. It's really loud in my ears. As long as it's not too loud for you guys. And I'm not talking over it or something. Alright. So, I like the music in this game. A lot of it was repeated songs, but I like how the game was kind of around songs. I kind of wish that there was I wish that in battle when they were actually singing, you could actually, like, hear the singing or something like that, or it was oddly specific to what they were doing or what buffs they were casting and stuff like that. I think that would have been really cool. I would have liked to see a lot more of that. But overall, it was a solid OST. I really enjoyed it. They made up a completely different language for this game, too, so that's also really cool. It was incorporated really well. We just beat it, Kurt Dog. I'm going to go ahead and give it a solid 8. So, this is just kind of like the same thing as the other two games, Atelier Iris and Manakamiya. To me, the graphics aren't... I'll get into that a little bit. They're not all that great. I'd say that maybe there was some better aesthetics in this game overall than Atelier Iris. I don't know which came out first. I think Atelier Iris came out first, but I'm not sure. I'm not gonna, like, quote myself on that or anything else. I'd say that it looked a little bit better than that. It still wasn't really anything special, and it was a bit clunky to move around and stuff. I'm gonna go ahead and skip this one. I still swear they say Obama. Alright, but I'm gonna go ahead and give the graphics a 6. I think that that's where it was really lacking overall. The areas started to look all the same. There were some unique areas in the game, but there was a lot less of those, and it was just a bunch of straight corridors and things like that. It just... you know what? I'm gonna bump it up here, and the reason I'm gonna bump it up is because I feel like the areas that were built around looking like instruments and things like that, I think that that was cool. I think that that was an additional thing that they did that I haven't seen in the other games from Gus so far. There was a little bit more effort in that regard, and they stuck to what they were doing. It's a game purely about music, so... This is between Atelier Iris and Manakamiya. Okay, I could see that. But I do think that it deserves some credit there for sticking with the theme overall. Okay, so the story. Basic story for this game is there's viruses trying to basically destroy all humans because Mir was taken advantage of when she was there. You don't really know that until later on in the game. Game just starts out with, what are these viruses? We're gonna fly down to the real world and meet these girls that can sing and have powerful magic and things like that. And really, ultimately, that's all the game is for a while. You're just kind of progressing little by little. You dive into the characters specifically to learn more about them and to make them stronger, but I feel like that wasn't handled very well. You don't really get too many details on the character. It's kind of hit or miss. You maybe get little things from them. You start to learn a little bit more as you actually progress the game. So the diving sections felt so segmented to me. Even though I did them as quickly as I could, not like I rushed through them, but I did them as soon as they were available to do and things like that. They still felt so out of place from the actual progression through the game because nothing came out of those dives other than having spells. The characters didn't like learn something from what was in there. On occasion they're like, I feel better now, or I feel more comfortable now, and things like that, but it didn't really translate over in such a way that it was definitive or visual or anything like that. And the reason that is because they couldn't do that. Because they don't know when you're going to dive in the game. You could dive as soon as possible. You could wait till the end of the game to do all the dive stories. So they can't really make the character grow in that regard because they don't know how far along they're going to be. I felt like that could have been handled a lot better, and that was a significant part of this story. If you avoid all the dive sequences in the game and just go through all the areas and stuff like that, the game's a lot shorter. There's a lot of dialogue and a lot of time that you spend in there, but I feel like that aspect of the story, although I liked the concept, I didn't really like the dive system all that much. But really, the story was just kind of generic overall for the first period of time. It was big bad entities taking care of something. We have special powers. We can take care of it with the special powers. And then I feel like Phase 3 opened it up a lot more. We started to learn where it all started from, the war in the first place, and everything else. But I still feel like this game's kind of just building up a world, much like these games that end up having 3 separate games do. It's building up a world that I feel is going to be more enjoyable, potentially, in the other games. I just felt like the story was overall lacking, but Phase 3 definitely did add to the story. If you would have finished it with Phase 2, I probably would have gave the story like maybe a 3 or a 4. I think I'll go ahead and give it a 6. I'd say it was definitely the weakest part of the game for me. I'm sure there is. Mechanics. I like the concept of this game, of having, I've said this plenty of times now, and sorry, it's starting to get hard to talk. I like the idea of having a caster in the background that you have to protect, but I don't feel like it was executed very well. There's basically attacks that the enemies can do that are going to be on your rivet tail in the back, and if it gets hit, you lose your charge or it dies, and that's basically what allows you to do damage or anything else, heal, all that other type of stuff in the battle, really. So you have to go about protecting them. So anytime one of those abilities is up, it's basically a wasted turn. You're always going to use that turn. You're going to hope that you get a counter. So it just felt like it was an additional thing that was unnecessary. I would have rathered it just had health that I could heal them and so on and so forth, and make sure that I have to keep their health up. And then, of course, you could get unlucky sometimes with heavy hits or something like that going to the background. But the idea is that they're very fragile and that the only thing that they add to the party is singing. It makes sense. I just wasn't a huge fan of how it was executed in this game. I wanted more. Your characters have very few abilities from what I gather. You have to make sure that you progress the bar down at the bottom. I can't remember what it's called, but you have to progress through it so that you can use those skills in the first place. So the start of the battle is always kind of just like use an ability and then start spamming attack a bunch of times. So almost every battle in this game to me came down to the exact same thing for the longest time until I got the buffs that I could start using on my characters, and then I changed what I did. Cool concept, not executed in a way that I found very enjoyable. I am curious to see what they did and things that they changed in the second game whenever we get to that one. But I hope that they changed some of the aspects of it for sure. I hope they didn't just keep it the same. I hope they overhauled it quite a bit. And I'll get into the map movement with these games as well, because there's some sort of detachment for me when you're just selecting a place on a map and then going to it, and then there's like 5 blocks to walk around or like 3 steps to go, and that's the area. And then you revisit these areas 3 million different times. That just detaches me so much from a world in a game. I don't really feel like it's this grand world that it's supposed to be. When you take all these places and you put them together, if you could just run from one place to the other and things like that, it is this unique world, this tower that you're going through, that this creation that like works with harmonics and everything else. It is something that's unique, but the way you move around and stuff like that is so disjointed that you don't really get to experience it in that way. You don't get to see that the whole thing is like this one entity that you're going up through from top to bottom, from bottom to top, and things like that. I also wasn't too big of a fan of the dive system, which I said I tied that to story because it gave a lot of story. Having to find the talking points on the map and stuff like that, I feel like they could have just had a lot less of them and make it story based instead. I would have enjoyed that more rather than find this little spark on the ground and going and resting in bed and talking to her. Let me actually talk to the person in the game. Have something happen. Let me have a conversation with them there. Don't separate the things. When you separate everything, when you separate character progression and the overall plot of the story, they don't mesh, and they're so separate, and it's just hard to like, it's hard to feel for characters when I just had something really important happen in the game, and then I go into a world and the girl's now wearing a towel and then tying me to the bed and electrocuting me and things like that. Those things just don't go hand in hand. Like, it doesn't work. They're so separate in my mind, but happening right, one right after the other and stuff like that. I don't feel for the characters as strongly then, because then it's just silly, it's just goofy, it's not actual progression in any way. Yes, it did. And it happens more than once. So I would say that I like the idea of the combat system. I was a little disappointed by the lack of what there really was to do. The dive system I would change quite a bit, and the movement around the map and stuff like that is just the same way that I felt about Manakimia and Atelier Iris and things like that. It's just really mediocre to me. It doesn't do anything special for me at all. So I'm going to go ahead and give that a 6 as well. Alright, so grinding. I don't really feel like I was forced to grind in this game. I definitely did fight pretty much every battle for a while. That was more so because I was interested in the progression and the diving, and diving is where you get the story, and the only way to get those points is to fight battles. So if you want to get all the character dialogue and things like that, you're going to have to grind quite a bit in this game. And I mean quite a bit, because some of this stuff is really, really, really expensive. You can run from every battle relatively easily. I don't remember ever not being able to run from a battle. But of course, again, if you want actual story for your characters, if you want actual progression for your characters, your Ravitels that you have in your party, you have to fight. You do. There's no way getting around it. So I'm going to go ahead and say that this was a little bit worse than Atelier Iris in the fact that you're forced to fight a lot more battles, mostly for actual story progression and dialogue and things like that. So I'm going to go ahead and give that a 5. So overall for me, this game's, it's on the cusp of like 6.5. It doesn't quite reach 7 territory for me. I enjoyed more of the third phase than I did pretty much any other aspect of the game, but most of the third phase was just you running around back and forth and talking to people. But I enjoyed the boss fights. I enjoyed how the boss fights actually had some like element to them, and we were actually progressing through unique areas in the story. Going to this place that looked like a giant horn and going inside of it and finding things that are controlling the world that have been here the whole time and we just didn't know it and things like that. It opens up so much more, I feel, in the end. But that takes 25 hours to get there. And I'm sorry, I know that there's lots of games that they'll leave you kind of stranded and not tell you what's going on, and they'll feed you tidbits of information as you go, and then all of a sudden there's like a big reveal. But in this case, I don't feel like we really got that. But I am glad that I did Phase 3, even though it was a lot of running back and forth, because I feel like it was an actual completion of the game at this point. And don't fool people with fake credits and make them feel like they've got this happy ending and stuff like that. Don't do that. I'm going to go ahead and give it a 6 overall. And let's see what you guys rated it. Results. Now I gotta do some maths. Good thing I got my handy dandy calculator. Yay, math. Thank you for the 14 of you that voted. I really appreciate it. I always like to see what you guys think as well. You guys gave it a 6.2, so it looks like we were on the same page in that regard. Will I replay it? No. But I have to be honest with you, I probably will try to watch to see what the alternate things were if I chose different things. That's okay, BGG. Like I tell everybody else, I'm okay with people voting even if they've only seen a little bit, because that allows me to see and kind of gauge like what people thought from bits and pieces that they saw. No more dive ever? Well, I doubt that. We've got 2 more games at least. Alright, so I'm going to say no, but we'll watch some stuff. Which we've said with other games. Alright. 30th of September, 2018. Let's find a good song for this. Alright. 31 hours, 53 minutes, and 2 seconds. Okay, I'm gonna try to find, I was gonna try to find the song that I thought was Lysol Gives You. I don't know what the song's called, though. This is good enough for now. Alright, guys. Let me finish getting this set up. Yeah, I figured that, because Misha ends up at a completely different part. I'm sure there would have been different bosses and things like that. Hold on, give me a second. You guys have to wait until I get this set up completely. Alright guys, it is raffle time. All you have to do is type in the word raffle and it gives you a chance to win. And if you win, you get to pick the next game that I play. Just for an example, I love how the text just like flies whenever it's raffle time. If Nightbot wins, I will make a list of games that you all get to vote on, and we get to go from there. That's happened once. It's very unlikely that it happens, but Nightbot does have a chance to win as well. Go ahead and, again, start taking a look at the list. Have your game potentially ready. Gotta get good, Doc. You gotta get good, man. Alright. Next game is Dragon Quest XI. That's gonna be interesting. I found it. I got it. I haven't even opened it yet. I'll give you guys another couple minutes. You guys stuck around and watched me stream for a while, so I can give you a few minutes to enter the raffle if you haven't already. And like I said, I do know that we have a lot of lurkers in chat, and I'm not trying to call anybody out, but just to explain what's going on here, if you enter the word raffle once, it enters you in a chance to win and pick the next game that I play. If you're here to watch JRPGs, if there's games on that list that you find interesting and you want the chance of them getting picked, I highly recommend you enter. I think McCurdy went to bed. He works tomorrow. He just got a job, so I don't think you have to worry about that. Oh, nice. Yeah, I'm curious to see what the game's like. I've always been a fan of the Dragon Quest games. They're very comforting to me. Just relaxing games to play through. That could be the case, BGG. I guess I'll find out. Alright, guys. Good luck, everyone. 3, 2, 1. Eden Valkyrie, congrats. Let me know that you're there. Let me know that you're there and available to pick the next game. Okay, there we go. You're here. Go ahead and take a look at the list. Unless you already have a game ready to go. Congratulations. Oh. You can pick a 3DS game. I do have a 3DS capture card. Stella Glow. Let me make sure that that's on the list. I don't know the name of that game. I don't remember that game. Did this game come out here too? I have it in there as Japan. When did it come out? No, I think I've seen this before. It's definitely on the list, and it definitely came out here, right? Why do I only have the Japan date for it? Probably because I added it later. It's not a game that was initially on my list. Alright, it's on there. Definitely my first time played. Alright, congrats again on the win. Next, for sure, is going to be Dragon Quest XI. I'll probably start that a little bit tomorrow and a little bit Tuesday as well. But after that, I'm going to have people over here, so streams are going to be very sporadic or not happen at all. It really depends on like how long people are up or if people go to sleep at random times and things like that. So I'll keep you guys posted on Discord and stuff, but I'll at least see you tomorrow and Tuesday for sure. I think I spelled it right? Yes. Yeah, I'm interested. I actually know absolutely nothing about this game. I'm very curious. It is listed as a tactical RPG, so yes. My song gives you endless courage. You mean Lysol gives you endless courage. Alright guys, another thing that we do every time we finish a game is we raid somebody. And we try to raid this person hard. But we have to decide on something to say, and I think that Deformed did one perfectly. So go ahead and copy and paste Deformed's message, and we're going to find somebody to raid here. So have it ready to go. And let's destroy their chat. Alright, who can we raid? Alright, you know what? Doc's making a push for partner here, so I'm going to go ahead and give him a raid. Hopefully it helps him out. I don't know if they count those numbers or not, but we're going to go ahead and raid him. So everybody, get it ready. My songs give you endless courage. Spam with any emotes or anything like that that you want. Let's destroy his chat for a while. What do you say? I really appreciate it, everybody. Thanks again for sticking around. Oh, I actually have to... What do I have to do?